Live, and we're going to be talking about uteral function and how it sits in reference to the hips. So we're going to start off just by showing some diagrams, and then we're actually going to go right to the work. We have Dr. Aegis Sun here, we have Get Fit with Britt, and we have Keith, who is on property here. So we're just going to be going through this and sharing it with you guys if you want to take a look. So what we're going to do is we have the female anatomy here. And what I've done is I've removed a whole bunch of parts in here so that we can look at it a little easier. Look at the hips and then look at the inside. So I haven't put the intestines in here, but I will for a second. So I want to show you so when we have the digestion in here and everything else, this is greater omentum, you're going to see that the small intestine here sits right down there. Now, if somebody has their belly coming out a little bit, protruding out this way, you're actually going to have pressure in here on that ligament. And that's the ligament that goes over top of the uterus and the bladder. And so if we were to take this out, for example here, you can actually see the fallopian tubes, and you can see this. Now I'm going to isolate this just so you can see what it looks like. That's what it looks like. And you can see, what I want you to notice is that it's attached right to the muscle skeletal system. Actually, there are muscles that go through here and fascia that goes through here. So it's all fascia, all muscles. And so it's attached. So if the pelvis is off slightly, that means that this lining is off slightly adapting. So and there's not a person that I know that wouldn't have this lining off, because everybody's hips is slightly off. I've never seen anybody who had perfect hips. Okay? So if we were to remove that, okay, Now we have what we have is the bladder here, and there's a lot of you can imagine this. So if you have your hips off, that's going to also cause the bladder to be slightly off. So this is where sometimes you'll get leaky bladder, or you'll get a bladder issue if the hips are off too far. You'll get a bladder issue that's significantly off, or like a lot of times, like women will say, if I'm jumping on a trampoline or something like that, I have leakage. Well, that's one of the reasons why, because where a guy doesn't have that, ligament over there. So that ligament is attached to the pelvic floor, and if it's up or down, it's creating pressure that the male wouldn't have. Okay, so if we take out the bladder here and get rid of it. Okay, now what we have is in there we have the fallopian tubes that are right here. And we have the uterus. Now, if I could take out, to separate the uterus to see it from a different angle, I think the best way, I'm not going to be able to show you the different angle right from here, but in here you can see how the uterus goes, and it's a hockey stick shape. So it goes like this and down like this. I'll grab a pen here. So the uterus goes like this and then down like this. That's actually the shape, and the fallopian tubes go off of there. Do you guys see that? Mm-hmm. Right in there?
Yeah.
So you can see where it curves right there?
Yeah.
Okay, right in there, how it curves up in there. So what would it look like if this lady had, here, let me get rid of these guys. I thought I got rid of them all. I was racing all the muscles off of here. I'm like, how many damn muscles in the arm? Okay. So let's pretend that a lot of women have an anterior pelvic tilt. A lot of people do, but a lot of women. Okay, so let's say that anterior tilt means that the pelvis is tilting back this way. So it's rotating back. So it's literally sitting like this. So if that sits like that, and remember that this, here, I'll take off the muscles here too, so we get a better view. So right here, these are the 4 layers. So again, if we have that ligament in there, remember this had the ligament in here that crossed all through here, that went on top of that. So if that ligament is there and the hips are tilted backwards, it's actually tilting the ligament up. So it means it's pushing the bladder into the pubic bone itself. That's where you that's why you have a leaky bladder, or a lot of times women will say I have a small bladder. Really common. Like the most common thing is I have a small bladder. It's not a small bladder. Your bladder it didn't change size. It just got squished. So it doesn't have the capacity. And the bladder has a mechanism in it that says when I'm this full, let my brain know so that I can let it go. So it's a pressurized mechanism, right? Does that make sense? So if this is hip this way, or conversely, if it's turned this way, that will then, if it's turned that way, then it will then push pressure on the uterus another way. Now remember this guy here, this is the lily alba. So let's get rid of the lily alba. Okay, so back again here. So if it's rotated this way or this way, there's going to be some sort of strain on the uterus. Now this also happens when women are trying to conceive. If there's too much strain in the uterus and there's too much positional strain in the uterus, it causes stress. And then the body's not likely to be able to hold the baby. So if the body can't hold the baby, then it's not going to conceive. Like the body will only hold the pregnancy if it can conceive, but if it can't, if it sees a problem there, it won't. I know you get abnormalities, you get like a fallopian tube pregnancy or something like that, but generally, in general form, this is how it works. Okay, and there's always exceptions to this. So what we can do now, if we put the organs back on there, so underneath here, we got, okay, this is where the ileocecal valve is in here. And this is a big one, causing bloating, gas, and distension there. So the valve between here and here gets disrupted. And usually that valve is normally going to sit in this area right in there. And the appendix is there too as well, in that general lens area. So if this valve gets disrupted, what it does is it causes bloating, gas, and distension in there. And that's where a lot of autoimmune symptoms, because if the valve is slightly closed, the stuff flowing from the small intestine doesn't make it properly to the large intestine. It backs up and it creates sludge or basically a buildup on the small intestine. That buildup is going to show up as skin irritations, skin infections, rosacea, rashes, stuff like that. Okay? So again, getting rid of these guys here. Let's get rid of it. And then let's get rid of the large intestine here. Whoops. Okay, so basically now what we want to do is we want to get this. So if the prolapse can happen in a lot of different ways. So again, remember all of this stuff was being held up by fascia. So we had the intestines, let's come back here. So we had the intestines all through here, and then we had the ligament right here. So if these intestines are sitting down and the hips are tilted forward, that's going to actually change the shape of the uterus. Does that make sense? That's what that's what a prolapse looks like. It's too much internal pressure pulling down. So if it's pulling from the hips, pulling down, so two ways to look at it. If there's too much adhesion in here, it pulls on all of this downwards. And if it's pulling it downwards here, then that's going to put pressure on there. The other could also be true, but not likely, where it could be pulling upwards because most people sit, so it's mostly downwards. And then it's that anterior tilt. Now, if there's a lot of trauma in here, if there's like uteral trauma, if you got, let's say you got a lot of trauma right here. Okay, let's take out this. I've taken out the glutes already, so the glutes there, but here's and the glute minimus and maximus. But if I was to remove this, okay, well, that's also going to cause trauma too, because look at there, right in there, that's connected right to the pelvic floor, all those muscles. That's the uterus right there. So if I was to isolate this, that's what it looks like. So any of the muscles touching that, so if these hips, remember, if these hips are off, so and a lot of people have this, if one hip is higher like this and one hip is lower, this is going to cause this to dysregulate. So that's going to cause the uterus to tilt. Tilted uterus is really common, like it's super common, and that can cause a pregnancy issue as well. Okay, so let's go back here onto there. And then this is where a lot of the danger with women today getting, exercising their glutes, causing this unusual pressure or weight distribution in the body. When you enlarge the glutes, which is the popular thing to do like this, you enlarge those glutes, it puts a lot of pressure on here and down here. And that pressure pulls on the lower back there and pulls up here because the glutes go out this way. So that causes a compression in there, which then pulls on these muscles right here, pulls on this guy right here, and then there's other ones that like more specific, like right here. If we pull that up like that, see that little guy there? When he gets pulled, he pulls directly on the uterus. These are all things that contribute to it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So the very first thing when we look at somebody and we do fascial work, especially fascial maneuvers, you're going to see some behaviors. Let me go to photos here. Photos. You're going to see some behaviors here. And let's go to all photos. And let's go over here. Let's go to favorites. So let me show you what it looks like here. Okay. Now this isn't extreme, but you see how the hips are tilted forward and the belly comes down. So what we were saying there is if that belly comes down, that's pushing the intestines down front on the bladder. Well, that's putting pressure on the uterus as well. So bladder and uterus. She has a scoliosis and also a prolapse. Okay. So if you look at here through the course of 2 months of the 20, this is not, no practitioner touched her. She did this all herself. So this is 2 months of her doing it herself. So what you're noticing is in between here, it's getting longer and it looks like it's leaner, but she's not leaner. She's got more space between here and here. So just more space. So that is opening up. So that's going to pick up the entire abdominal cavity. It'll pick everything up off the pelvic floor. Now what stops it, even in this case, if it's like that, is if there's too much adhesions around the pelvic floor. Then what's going to happen is she might be here but feel super tight and like have a lower back or something that's really tight. That all makes sense? Yeah. Okay, so, and you can see it right here. This is really common. See how the hips are off? Yeah. Yeah. See how the hips are off, the hips are there. So she's got a hilt this way and this way. So just her doing the fascial maneuvers over time typically straightens it out. That's a normal thing that happens with fascial maneuvers over a couple months. This is 2 months of the 28-day reset. And she took about 30 photos. So we have like lots of different photos to look at. So what we're going to do now is, and where it gets into extremities is when you see something like a scoliosis, right? Let's go to scoliosis. So when you have a scoliosis like that, which is 27 degree, what you're going to see is in the hips a real dramatic shift there. So again, and it doesn't mean that you have hips off. It doesn't mean that you can't have a baby. It doesn't mean you have a prolapse. But these are the things that contribute to it. And the other part too is like a weak inner, you would say, like in fitness, we'd say inner core muscles. But the one way to make a muscle stronger is one way. The other way is to take away what's causing it to function better. So what we're going to do is work on taking it away. Okay? So we're going to start off with Cynthia as our test dummy. And then we'll
test model. I'm going to test dummy.
Yes, and we'll come back to here. So we'll come back to here and take a look. So, and let's get this over here so we can, okay, there you go.
See the test model?
Yeah, so come on over here. Okay, so come on over here. So you can feel in here. I want you to feel around these areas. Okay, you get the small intestine right here. You get the bladder right here. Okay, so I want you to slowly push in and feel in there. Okay, go ahead. And that's it. Okay, you feel, yeah. Okay, now feel over top of your the pubic bone. Yeah. So feel if it's tight. Feel if it's like tighter on one side or the other. Like go right to the attachments on top of the pubic bone.
Yeah, it feels a lot tighter on her right side.
Feels tighter on the right
side.
side.
Of my right hand.
Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the bladder is right here. And so that means the uterus is starting about here, going back down. So we can go into we can tell if one side's tighter, so a little bit tighter. So I can go right in here, it's gonna hurt nobody, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I can go right in here, and right there, and that, does that feel like your uterus?
That feels really painful.
Does it feel like your uterus?
No.
Right? There.
Okay.
Okay, that's uterus. So what I did is I put pressure in here, and then I push the fascia away. What that's going to do is cause that ligament to move. So try that. Put pressure in right here with one hand. Put your left hand, put pressure deep in there. As a dog doctor, you have to do these things. Okay, now, push in deep, like really harder than you think. As long as you go slow, it's okay. Now take the other hand, and then push away. Tell me when you get that. You got that pain? That feeling?
No, that feels okay.
But that same feeling, no.
Yeah,
Difference.
not as painful.
Yeah. Okay. So that is now you're moving the ligament. So if you're moving the ligament, then you're able to deal with the actual uterus itself. Does that make sense? Because there's a couple ways you can get the uterus. You can get it through here, or remember on the back there. So let's go over on your stomach. Keith, can you grab that? So I'm going to show you another way to affect the uterus, and it's through the glutes actually.
Why would I be so tight
Because you're still dealing with right in here, still dealing with a little bit of pressure in your hips. That's okay. We don't work on each other, so she's still working through it. Just turn yourself over. And then what we're going to do is do it on each other. I mean, what you can't do it on me, but. Okay, so remember we have the glute, and underneath there we have the levators that come across here. They go right from the pubic bone in here. So when I go into the attachment, it goes right about here. Okay, so I'm going to pin that out. Okay, now when I press in here, and push the fascia this way. Do you feel that inside, baby?
Yep.
So she feels that right inside the pelvic floor. So you're gonna pin the attachment of the levator right at the. You're gonna pin it at the trochanter. Yeah. Okay. Really pin it, and then push the fascia away. So you're pushing it away because again, it's all connected. So if you're gonna pin it here and push it inside the body, the fascia has to move. Okay.
Does that feel similar to something on the
Yes.
other side?
Okay, push a little harder, I'm thinking.
Really have to go hard.
Yeah.
Very strong.
There. Okay, that's almost there. I can feel it. Okay, there you go. You got it. You feel that change? Okay, so I can feel by touching it because I've done this a gazillion times. So that's another way. So these are areas that if you loosen up with a prolapse, these are the areas that are going to pull this way, going to pull this way, going to pull that way. And then another area to do is up here because it's all connected. So if I'm pulling this tissue up here, if I push up here, you can push, go like this and put your hand there and then pull it there. Push. So you can feel it pulling, right? So that means that the fascia that comes over here is affecting the muscles in the fascia here, which then again affect the uterus or anything in the pelvic floor. The pelvic floor is better because what we're doing is really, we're preparing the pelvic floor.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
And there's different organs in the pelvic floor that also suffer from that pressure of prolapse. isn't it?
Correct. Yeah, because the prolapse is the end symptom of a lot of different little issues. The other part too is you can look on for anybody watching, you look on the anal butt torque, the butt torque maneuver, because the butt torque maneuver itself is okay if I touch it or something. So if I go like this, and right at the epithelial tissue of the anus, you feel that? What that does is that's going to then torque the intestine and the colon, and there's still adhesions in there, so that's actually going to loosen it too. So the affectionately known butthole torque maneuver is really powerful for this because it actually will. Do we have a ball here? We don't.
Not just the spiky ball.
Okay, yeah, you won't use that. So what I'll do is, because we'll go on the front, so I'm going to actually turn the epithelial tissue here. So on her, because I don't think I've done this one, have I? A long time? Okay, so breathe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it in there. And I'm doing it, okay, again, fully closed, it doesn't ache. Okay, squeeze your butt cheeks. And let it go. Squeeze again. Let it go. Squeeze again. By squeezing the butt cheeks, it forces it, let it go. It forces the pelvic floor to change it, so it gets deeper each time. There it goes. Okay, what does that feel like?
I can feel it inside.
Yeah, you feel it inside, so turn over your back, okay? So what that's doing is it's setting right around the rectum and inside the lower colon. What that's doing is it's releasing all the tissue around there. So now, you go back in here and see if it feels any different. Feels different, right? So just by doing that one maneuver, you're going to let a lot of the anal prolapse, it's different.
The left
Yeah.
side feels really tight. Oh yeah, it feels a lot.
Okay? So the first things that I do if you're having anal or uteral prolapse or vaginal prolapse is I do the butthole torque. It's the least invasive because you're literally, you take a ball. I did it with my hand, but you take a ball, put it on the tissue, turn it. Next thing you do is the belly button torque. So let's do the belly button torque.
Over the clothing.
Yes, over the clothing, yes. So belly button torque. So these two together are going to release a lot of tension in the pelvic floor. Turn your head. I have her across her arms and she knows to do it and to turn her head. So this is going to relieve a lot of pelvic floor tension. And these are on the partnered release series that you can get. They're super easy to get. Anybody can do this. This is good for any digestive disorder, any prolapse, any pelvic floor, any lower back problem, any hip problem, any diaphragm problem. This helps because it's taking tension out of the body. Okay, right there. Breathe. Okay, now I can feel it drop. You can see your body relaxing, right? So you can actually see the whole hips relaxing. So again, super powerful. These are the first things you do because you want to do as little work or invasive work as you need to. Okay. Now test that again. Both of you guys try it.
So perhaps I would test it and then do the torque releases before moving to trying to release.
Yeah, you want to get a before and after because you want to basically see, is it getting softer in there, or it could even get harder. It literally could. But okay, so this is one thing. Now, if I'm alone, the next thing is I'm going to take right over. This is the ileocecal valve release on both sides, but we call it ileocecal valve release because we do it on one side, we do it both. Basically, what we're doing is we're pushing the fascia up. So look at it's pulling right into here, which is your stomach meridian, your spleen. It's getting a bit of your gallbladder. But you're pushing up on here. That's one way to do it. Now, if you have somebody to help you. So let's pull on that leg. Okay, so now you really feel it. So come over here, put your hands on here. Okay, let go for the leg for a second. Put your hands right over here so you can feel it. Okay, now pull the leg. You feel that? Okay, each of you guys want to switch. So you guys can feel it. So each actually wants to come over here to do it. So this one here, you're pushing in the single valve release. It's the normal one you would do on a partner maneuver series. But really deep and go in and up. Okay, perfect. Now pull that leg. Yes, you can feel the tissue separating, right? So if all this tissue is expanding, then what happens is you're going to create that lengthening that person got in 2 months. You're going to create that by yourself. So let's do the other side just to even her out. And so this is the most powerful thing. If you have a second person to help you, and it doesn't take any skill other than pulling the leg and leaning back. Breathe. There it is. Okay, now you feel the whole thing calm down. Okay, so those are the first things to do when you're dealing with a prolapse. So you're going to get the belly button, the anal torque. You're going to do the ileocecal valve release on both sides, let it go. Now when she stands up, she's going to have more space in here. What you can do if you want to, is you can also, same kind of idea as this, you can go on the, right below the rib cage, and you can just release right here. You want to do that on that side, you can. So pinning it here, and then pushing underneath the rib cage, so stretching it under, like you do the individual one. Yeah, so again, you're creating more length in the midsection of the body, and by doing it, you want to come over there. You're creating more length in the inside of the body, and this is going to help with the stomach, it's going to help. Now, people get heartburn. One of the things that you do is the pericardial valve, like on top of the stomach.
Esophageal sphincter?
Yeah, esophageal sphincter, sorry. I was like this morning trying to remember it on live, and I couldn't get esophageal sphincter. That movement there and there and twisting with your hand will, because if you're getting heartburn, the esophageal sphincter gets caught up. If you do that and twist, it twists the fascia inside. And the sphincter, what it's doing is it's closing like this, and if it's got tension on one side, it doesn't quite close. That's how you get the heartburn. So this is the best way to get rid of heartburn. And then if someone's got a fatty liver, gallbladder issue, a little bit of anger, a little bit of resentment going on, you just in here, and immediately you'll see them change, because when you give their liver more space underneath the diaphragm, right there, automatically it releases, it relaxes. It'll even, you can see it calm on the forehead right here. So that's the area you'll see, because that's where the liver is predominant, and from a fascial point of view.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go for a walk. Okay, since you guys haven't seen it, I'll call it. Great, you lay down. Okay, so let's try this.
Thank you, thank you.
So, I'll get you to feel it. Okay, right there, and then, so I'm gonna push so you feel the, feel on your uterus, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I know people all the time, you can't get to the uterus like that, you have to get inside.
There it is.
Yeah, you can feel it.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, if you can start to feel, or if even if you can't feel, just loosen everything, let the body do it. But after a while, you can start to feel: is it tilted right? Is it tilted left? Is it forward or backwards? Right? Yeah. Okay, let's touch your back or touch this. So, right over.
You've done some good work.
Yeah. She's pretty loose, right? Okay, so let's give you an idea what it feels like. You want to pull for a leg there? So that even with that good work,
So, no restriction.
there it goes. There it goes. And it's because we sit all the time. If we didn't sit, we just squatted. This is a build-up over time. So this is why it's important to do little maneuvers on a daily basis. Or you want to do it? I'll pull the legs. Again, you're just doing it yourself. Like if you're with somebody yourself, you do it like that. And then if someone can pull, and anybody can pull.
You're gonna get taller, Britt.
Aiming for 5'2".
Okay.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You can really feel it deep.
Deep.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, let's. You just.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, I was jumping on the trampoline really high yesterday, and I don't know how I could feel it, but it leakage.
Yeah. Okay, good point. Is it okay to touch your body? Okay. So I'm gonna go right to the pubic bone here. Okay, so it's interesting. Okay, you feel that. Okay, so feel that, right? That attachment over there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I
I
feel
had
it.
a C-section scars.
Okay.
So C-section scar is can cause it to pull more one way than the other. So let's give you the feeling of the utero. So right there. Can you feel that one? Right there. Well, that's a lot of calming.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, so basically that means your uterus is tilted, which would make sense if you were. Yeah, so you're jumping the trampoline, you feel like a leakage. That's really, really common for women.
I've had a tilt to this side, and I know from a previous IUD I had some kind of restriction that happened.
Okay. So Britt, let's try that. Get in there. And tell her how it feels in her region.
It's really, yes, it's hard.
Okay, yeah, I can actually feel that. Okay. Something changing, I feel
Yeah,
that.
I can feel it. For sure.
It's really round up.
Okay, yeah. So hers is
Oh, I see where you're
stuck.
like right on the ASIS.
Yeah, because of the C-section scar. So I'm gonna go right. It's gonna be an emotional release. Okay, so let go. I'm gonna let her have her emotional moment, and then give space for that. I don't want to let my hands go. There it goes. Okay, you feel that? Okay. So there was adhesion from the C-section scar, and the uterus is tilted at the same time. So you were pushing the uterus over, and what I did is I went right to the adhesion from the scar. Because that scar, it goes all the way back. It's affecting the ligaments and everything.
You can feel it deep.
Yeah, and I have a feeling if we went to the back, it would help release because I could.
Yeah, we'll do that. Just go back. Okay, so
Back was
on the
spiritual cancer, you said.
yeah. So when you feel, go and feel you're gonna feel like one. See, that's contracted.
Yeah, this side is, yeah.
Very contracted, right?
Yeah. So you were going around here, this area, right?
Yeah. So it's contracted here.
Yeah.
So you okay, AJ?
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna open the. Basically, these are meridians that are crushed over here.
Yeah.
So we release the front. So I'm gonna open those up for us. This is a. It's where it's stuck right here. Okay. Okay. Now feel it. So a normal body worker would say that's muscles.
Yeah.
But if you treat it like muscles, see now it's more even.
Yeah.
That's basically the fascial layers opening up, fluid rushing into it. That's not a muscle, that's fascia. And yeah, there's a lot of emotion coming out. Her heart's opening up. I'm gonna help her open. Breathe. So it's intake valve of the heart is on this side, so coming at this side. Does that feel, Asia?
Right.
So,
I'm a great example of when you work on me, there's just the releases that happen.
yeah, emotional releases are just coming out. Yeah, you see the whole body just settle in there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to push into that.
Oh,
That's a good one.
yeah, I was just gonna say, I was like, oh, this, I remember that.
There it is. Whoa.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh, I saw
You can
that.
feel the whole
Yeah.
pelvic floor move.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that is,
So let's try the same thing.
that's day and night. Okay,
Do the
so
same
right
thing
here.
right here. Choke answer, lock it up, and push into.
Okay, so I'm going in.
You put one hand there, and then push one hand away. So you're pushing towards the sacrum. You want to keep going? I'll help you out a little bit so you get the feeling. Okay, you feel that changing there?
There goes the hips dropping now.
Yeah, hips drop. Okay. So no muscles.
That is day and night.
Yeah, day and night.
It used to be like, oh, this muscle's tight, switch it. It's just, yeah, wow, I can't remember.
Okay, so for her, so if you, one of the things you can do, really powerful, is this the sacrum torque. Go ahead and do that one. Do a lot of work on it. You probably want to start other way.
This way?
Yeah, that way. And push down and then just turn. Breathe, Asia. There, you feel that change?
Mm-hmm.
So what that's doing is because you're torquing the fascia, the pressurized system, that's going to go all the way through to the bladder. There. Ooh. So your arm's shaking a little bit?
Yeah,
Okay. So why are mine barely touching, my arms are shaking?
yeah.
Okay, that's pure energy.
Yeah. You feel that?
Okay. I'm gonna come down just to release this a little bit more. Yeah. It's a fear of not being supported by a mother.
Oh, that's why my hamstrings are jammed.
There it goes. Do you have any specific memories of the release, Ija, or just? Okay, so I'm gonna get you a grip. Is it okay to do?
Okay.
Okay. So, Britt, I'm gonna get you to do it.
Okay,
Either with your finger or with your fist,
Yeah.
or
and we're going
this way.
this way.
Same as the sacrum.
Okay. It'll
Counterclockwise.
be better on this side.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Breathe deep into it, Nija. As a pelvic floor therapist, like a physical therapist or a doctor does this, they will go interanal, intervaginal. But what I've discovered is that you can just turn the fascia on that side, and it'll do the same thing. It'll do it better
Yeah.
because you're dealing with the fascia, which is what the muscles are sitting in that layer of fascia.
About feeling? Oh, there it goes.
You can feel it.
You can feel it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's relaxing. There, now she relaxed.
Okay. When you're ready, you can turn over on your stomach and we'll do belly button. So this is gonna most likely repair the uteral tilt.
I've done it on myself with a little grippy ball.
It's just not the
It's
same.
not the
when you-
same, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always better to have somebody else butt torquing.
Yeah.
The opportunity hasn't come.
Come on.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's
So when it's funny because even as a medical doctor, you don't really get the chance to do this because this would be more like a pelvic floor physiotherapist, right? That you would refer somebody else only for this.
I don't even know if they do that.
Well, they do pelvic floor therapy.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know
it's
about if they do anything anally. I've heard of osteopaths who used to be able to do that. I was surprised that they did that.
Yeah,
They
they-
no longer do that.
They adjust the coccyx bone through anal adjustment. Chiropractic. I think they still do it in the States. I don't
They're
think
not in the osteopathic DCs in there.
Okay, yeah, they could probably say no because it does set up a lot of situations where for abuse. So okay, let's do the belly button on her. Go ahead.
Okay.
Now that alone should make a big difference. Let's go to the
Other way.
I would go like this, like this,
Yeah.
like this, and turn. Okay, now put the other hand down and then turn it.
Ah.
There you get your power. Okay. Okay, so now you don't have all the force on your
Yeah.
hand. I'll give you a little
Okay.
acceleration. So for her, it's gonna feel like it feels like you have a bathroom right now.
Yeah.
So you know what.
Restricted.
There it goes. You feel it.
There.
Oh. Okay, good feel it drop. How's it feel?
Yeah, back up.
I felt you.
Okay, let's do her. Let's do her inner single rock.
Okay.
Okay, get in there a minute.
Mom, do you have a trigger for your
I would use both hands since if you're doing it by yourself, you use two
Okay,
hands.
but if you're pulling one
And
out.
I'm
Do you
gonna
have
pull.
a block for it, Mom?
And then check back in.
Right over there. Yeah. Okay. There it is.
Oh, there it goes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you see this one here? This one had a lot of movement.
Yeah.
That's where the hip was stuck before, so this is the one where
Oh,
EJ, turn your foot out against me. Yeah, there it is. That'll accelerate. Okay, good. Whew.
Your body.
Yeah, it's gonna feel really different.
We should stand
Let's
up.
go for a walk.
Yeah. We can stand up.
Oh.
You a little dizzy?
Yeah, lots of stuff moving all the way up.
What do you notice initially?
There's a lot of this kind of coming up.
You're feeling the energy in the circle moving up,
Yeah.
right? They actually call that the kundalini in the spine. That's the energy you're feeling.
Yeah.
It's a rising kundalini, right? That's why people have such a weird experience or glorious experience the first time they have it. But we're producing that every time we do that type of breath work.
Well, I've been having glimpses of it with different things where I've actually Googled some of it. What is Kundalini rising? Because I was told years ago by my Qigong teacher, your Kundalini is ready to rise. And I was like, my what? And I was not one who was ever going to research and try to make it happen. I would rather it happen on its own rather than trying to seek something out of it. But it's through the fascial maneuvers actually I started to notice that things were starting to happen.
Because Kundalini energy spirals. It's the DNA.
Yeah.
So what stops the spiral, actually, in my opinion, is the constriction of the fascia. Because this fascia is supposed to, so as you get up the table, what are you feeling right now?
I feel a lot of flow in my legs, around my ankles, and
Longer.
yeah, just longer and open in the front body.
So walk a little bit more, and then move around. Yeah, move your hips around, get different angles, because it should feel like your center of gravity changes.
I'll go see how it's like to jump on the trampoline now.
Do you feel a center of gravity change? Or do you know?
Yeah. I feel, there's something different with the grounding, I think.
Feel grounded.
More, like I'm pretty grounded, but I feel more of a grounding in my ankles and feet. And this feels more open. And, when I would do Qigong, I would have lots of rocking here because things are a little stuck. And that's why, like, when we do this, it would start to help release that energy. So I can feel that things are open.
Cool feeling, yeah. I mean, even for guys, it's cool feeling. The guys, it's the same basic feeling. We don't have a uterus, but we still have pelvic floor stuck. And it still has that same sense of grounding or not. But women naturally feel more grounded, or should feel. And when your pelvis is slightly up and over, so that up and over feeling tilts the ligament that we're talking about, then tilts the uterus. Then inside the body literally has to, if the uterus is tilted this way, the body inside has to, up here, compensate. And then up to the shoulder. And this is where, exaggeration, but that's what it's doing. If it's tilted down there, it just has to somehow create force. And that's how we get like a bigger shoulder. Guys get it in a different way, but it's the same basic philosophy. Cool. What do you think, Britt?
I love it. That was really great to walk through.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we were doing here is if you go back, we'll post this on the wall. What we're doing is we're just showing why a uterus would tilt or why a prolapse happens. What we were going through is the basic treatments, and this isn't a professional video. This is just literally putting it up so you guys can see it. And knowing that if you have a prolapse uterus, a prolapsed anus, or a prolapsed vaginal pathway, that it's related to these imbalances and the adhesions of the fascia on the pelvic floor. And what we did today is we removed all of those. Now, this works really well because you guys are hydrated. Your diatomaceous earth, Irish sea moss, you can take power perk, you've been doing fascial maneuvers, so everything's ready to do this. If you were to do this on somebody who's not ready, it won't happen like this. The body has to be ready. So if somebody had a prolapsed uterus or something like that, they would need to be doing fascial maneuvers. Most likely, they need to be doing them for probably about a month and a half with the supplements in order for everything to be there. Otherwise, I can force it, but if I force it, it hurts a lot and there's a lot of recovery time. And
more transport detox reactions.
Way more detox reactions. Okay guys, check this out. It's pretty cool. Oh, we can answer a couple questions. Sure, I'll answer a couple questions about it. Okay. So questions, if you want to throw them out, I can't look at the old, well, there's a couple in here. Did you get a lot of pelvic floor issues At the moment, I feel like everything has been done. Feminine manifesting more. Yes, a lot of pelvic. Please save this. Yes. Okay, we'll have those ones. Okay, anybody else want to ask a question about that? The ligament I just mentioned, you'll see it. It's the ligament that sits over top of the uterus, and well, here, I'll do it again. So, what I'll do, and I'll put these back on. So this, you guys see this okay? So coming back here, so to recap, I'm gonna hide this. So what I was saying is that the intestines get stuck here. Take these off. Is it 12 o'clock yet?
Yes, it's 11:58.
Oh, don't have time. I get another call. Okay, this here is the ligament we were talking about. And right here, that ligament is what covers the uterus and the pelvic floor. So when your hips are off, the ligament is off, and if the ligament's off, it pulls off the uterus. So that's a super important one. And if you hide that underneath there, you've got the uterus and the bladder. So that's all attached. That ligament there is fundamental right here. It's a broad ligament. And again, that ligament is fundamentally the one that's issued when you have a tilted uterus or you have a prolapse in the bladder or anything like that. That ligament is the big one that's going to be affected. And as a ligament, it's going to develop structure and force based upon what you do. It's highly connected to the fascia and then using muscles to reinforce it. So below it is a series of muscles. If we take this away and hide it. See, you've got all the muscles here on the pelvic floor, oops, sorry, that's not the one. You get muscles like this. See, these are all the muscles on the other side of that ligament. So these muscles on the bottom side are holding, the ligament's holding on the top. It's kind of like a bull. And when the hips are off balance, that's where the issue comes up. Okay, gotta go, guys.